After completing this lesson, you'll be able to edit wall joins, edit a wall profile, and work with wall constraints. The objective domains covered are 1.1c, work with structural walls. When a wall intersects another wall, Revit, by default, will join the walls together. Often you may want to change the way the wall joins. For example, if a wall with unequal thicknesses needs to be joined, the butt joint can control which wall takes priority. If a wall is not at 90 degrees to another wall, it may be more preferable to use the square off option. By default, a wall's profile is rectangular. You can edit the shape of a wall by editing the wall's profile. In the example below, a retaining wall has a drainage hole and a sloped end. Go ahead and open up the file 006, Work with Structural Walls Part 2. The model will open up in the 3D view. We're going to be working with this retaining wall on the left-hand side of the structure. The first task for us is to edit the wall joins. If we look at the configuration of how these walls are joined currently, you'll notice that this wall takes priority and this small wall in the middle is butting up to this wall here. I'd like to edit that condition and perhaps make both of the walls mitre. I can do this in 3D, but it will be easier to show you this in the plan view. So in the project browser, let's go ahead and open up the 00 ground floor plan. We can then zoom in to the same wall. On the Modify ribbon, click Wall Joins. As you move over wall joins or wall ends, Revit displays a square in the plan or the 3D view. Let's select this position here. And you can see here that Revit displays the current butt configuration with a thin line. Up on the options bar, I can use Previous or Next to cycle between different butt joint configurations. In this example, however, we want to select Mitre. Let's go ahead and select the next join. And once again, select Mitre from the options bar. Okay, so the wall joins are now configured. Here we can switch back to the 3D view and just review our changes. Next, we are required to change the depth of our walls. To do this, we're going to edit some of the wall constraints. This wall here requires to have a stepped foundation towards the end. In order to maintain this, I'm going to use the split command to split the wall. On the Modify Walls Context ribbon, you'll note that we have Split Element. Let's go ahead and split the wall. Once the wall is split, you can use the temporary dimension to control where the split happens. In this case here, we're going to make this 45 feet. We can then select the end wall, and note in the Properties palette, we have the ability to change the top offset, or in fact the base offset of the wall. I'd like this wall to now go down 1.5 feet. So in the base offset dialog box, I can type in minus 18 inches. And you'll now notice that the wall has dropped down. Next, we need to edit the wall profile. We need to incorporate a small drainage hole and also put a slope on the top of the retaining wall. Select the section of wall here. And on the context ribbon, we'll select Edit Profile. By default, a wall sketch is rectangular. Here, we're going to use the line tool and we're going to sketch an angled line. I would like to set a dimension on that angled line, so we'll select the Annotate ribbon and click Angular. We can then pick the horizontal line and our new angled line and place a dimension. I'm then going to select my angled line that I've constructed and set the angle for 6 degrees. We can then add a circular profile into the wall for a drainage opening. On the draw panel, we can select circle. We'll sketch our circular opening in. In this example here, I would like the diameter of the opening to be 6 inches, so therefore we can make the radius 3 inches. I want to position this accurately on the profile, so I'll select my circle, and in the Properties palette, we'll make Center Mark visible. I can then use the Aligned Dimension command to dimension my penetration. In this example here, I'll set this to 8 foot, and I'll set my elevation to 1 foot. Before we finish editing the wall profile, we'll need to tidy the top of the wall up. So I can delete this line here, and then trim this line over here. And then we can go ahead and select Finish Edit Mode. And you can now see we have our retaining wall with a drainage hole inside and also a step